Welcome back to Roots and Branches. This is Christine Mola, your host. And in our last episode with Rita Faith McCrae, which was a lot of fun, we explored ancestral echoes, the ways we carry what came before us, and the courage it takes to begin healing forward. So, and what follows that kind of deep awareness is the need for something just as important: regulation, integration. Because insight alone doesn't create change. The body has to feel safe enough to receive the change. So today's conversation is about regulating into integrating, and how we gently bring the nervous system back into balance so that healing doesn't just happen in the mind, but lives in the body. And this is where we move from understanding into embodiment, right? And I'm so grateful to share this space, and keep looking over here at Darlene, share this space with a woman who naturally brings that sense of calm and clarity and grounded presence. So again, I am joined by this beautiful woman, Darlene Listro. Welcome. And she is the founder, I have to take these off to read, and she is the founder of Just Breathe Yoga and Wellness. Mm-hmm. And after more than 30 years as an educator, Darlene followed a path that beautifully blends her lifelong passion for learning, brain health, and overall well-being with her deep commitment to yoga and holistic healing, right? So I had the pleasure of connecting with you, my friend, through Community Healing Arts Collective, which is our organization with the Bloom Group, and one of our pillars. And we immediately fell into natural alignment, always, each conversation we have. So I often say, and I've said to you, she is like the yin to my yang, or the yang to my yin, depending on the day of the conversation, whether I need masculine stuff going on or the divine feminine. And I joked with her, so a lot of us women, we carry our crystals in spaces such as our bras. And I joke and I say, it's always like, Darlene is just like a fabulous crystal in my bra today. She grounds me, right? So I'm so happy to have you here. And we're going to be talking about this really important subject of regulating our nervous system and integrating into our new identities, right? And I'm going to segue with this, that part of this whole show, Roots and Branches, has been a follow-up to my great pause last year in 2025, and really learning how to regulate my nervous system. I did it this morning. I mean, we have to do it. Our monkey minds are everywhere, jumping daily.
So true.
And just finding that simple way of grounding ourselves, but it's not that simple.
It's not.
It's not that simple. So why nervous system regulation matters in our personal growth? Why?
Yeah. Well, first, thank you so much for being here, Christine. Mm-hmm. It is a pleasure. I'm very honored to have you invite me here to talk about this important topic.
You're one of the ladies of season 1, and it's all just been a very beautiful experience. So thanks for being here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So nervous system regulation is really near and dear to my heart, because I think all of us, as we go about the first phase of our life, when we're working, raising our kids, having families, we have this constant need to rush, to push through, do the next thing. We keep ourselves very busy, right? Going, go, go. And we get tired, and it's hard for us to relax. At least that's how I felt for most of my life, right?
We just had this conversation with Dr. Beata. She's saying that she's in that mom phase. Mm-hmm. We all have the same issues going at the same time.
Yep. Yeah. And we really don't take enough time to truly rest and allow our nervous system to have that pause, that ability to calm, truly calm. Yes. Because, I've been practicing yoga since I was in my 20s, and that definitely helps, absolutely helps. Yeah. And I can see the difference as I look back on the time periods where I didn't make time for yoga. Sure. My life was different.
Yeah. For most of us.
Yeah. So
those
movement matters.
Yeah.
I like to say that movement matters. Yeah. But the phase I'm in now is, how do I go even deeper in that, right? I just don't want it to be superficial anymore. Yeah. I reached a point where you just feel a little off, like something's not right. And when you start to unpack that, you realize your nervous system has been in this state of constantly going. And it's great when you did those moments for yourself, but it's really a practice about the day-to-day practices to keep yourself balanced and calm.
I mean, that's the simplicity of it. You know, we move through all of our days, and all of us, and again, that grounding moment that we have. But your journey, which I kind of want to plug into for a minute a little bit, coming from years of educating into this brain health, and I had the pleasure of looking at your marketing materials a couple years ago. We were going through things, and it was extraordinary, you know, and each one of the guests in the season just has an amazing gift that comes. We all have gifts, but it comes to this table. So do you want to touch on that a little bit, coming out of your education, your time in that period and moving forward?
Yeah. So on a personal level, obviously,
all personal.
You know, I was an administrator at the tail end of my educational career, and that in and of itself, you know, leading a district comes with enormous responsibility, which I took very seriously, and I was honored to do the work. But you reach a point where you're just always on, and you always feel like you've got to be on for everybody.
Yeah. There's that badge of busy again. Right.
It really does.
And how do you regulate that, right? Or sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you have to step out.
Yeah, so my interesting first segue into that was I decided in the midst of COVID to do a dissertation.
A dissertation.
In the midst of everything.
Because that's what we naturally did.
Trying to lead a school district through COVID. And let's add one more thing to my plate and let's do a dissertation. So
that's fantastic.
I studied teacher well-being. And I
Teacher well-being.
Yep. Yeah. And I really looked at what helps people feel well, like being well, truly well. Yeah. And when I did my study, it's interesting because there's many ways to be well. You can be well personally, but then you also need that feeling of a group. And then there's being well in the career, if you're in that career phase, making meaning. So, very quickly, my dissertation revolved around the research on positive psychology, and I used the PERMA model. So it was... Yeah.
When things go right over my head. Do tell.
All right. So PERMA is an acronym, and it looks at different ways, different pillars to judge if you are well. Okay. And each and every one of them can be a standalone, but then taken together, you get a more holistic picture of how your well-being is. Beautiful. So P is the positiveness, right? Are you feeling positive and really looking at life through
positive eyes, through rose-colored glasses, perhaps.
And that in and of itself can be a challenge, right? Because
very much.
The negative always wants to come through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The E is for emotions, right? Like, how are your emotions feeling? And the R is for relationships. Do you have at least one meaningful relationship? And then as my work evolved, that relationship doesn't really even have to be with other people. It can even be a spiritual relationship.
With yourself.
The relationship you have with yourself, with something greater. And then M, meaning, right? Do you have meaning, purpose in your life? Does what you do you feel a sense that it matters? Do you wake up in the morning going, wow, I'm excited to do this work? And then A, a feeling of accomplishment. And when you talk about accomplishment, it's not a sense of, degrees on the wall, certificates that you've accomplished. It's that feeling of being able to be resilient, look back and learn on everything.
The wisdom. Incurring the wisdom.
So it's that kind of accomplishment. It's not about being perfect or establishing a set
passing the
of...
test. And get all the books that we have behind us in Steve's background that makes us look smart.
And then in the model I used, we added on H for health.
Oh,
Because
awesome.
it's very
And
important during our most stressful times.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that's when we don't take the time to do what matters most. Like have some water.
Hydrating.
Right?
Absolutely.
Hydrating. This is such an important thing.
It's like it's those come from habits. One of our other guests, Mickey, she's a nutritionist, and habit stacking.
Habit stacking is so important.
It's like my new favorite term. Habit stacking comes in with,
and it's important in
health.
this work too.
Absolutely,
with regulating your nervous system. Yeah,
and that becomes a habit to stack in. So let's talk about that for a minute. So shifting in. So in integration, so you took this career, this beautiful career, you shifted in COVID, you did a dissertation, you used this methodology that came through you professionally, right? And turned it, now you had to take all of that and start to integrate. You spent a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the work, I think I really started to realize the need to help other women that were where I was. Mm-hmm. And you reach a point where you see things differently and you want to be of service more. Absolutely. And starting my own business, I think, was a natural offshoot of that. Yeah. So now a lot of the clients I work with are women, 55, probably my oldest client right now is close to 80.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah.
And I learn as much from them as they say they're learning from me. There's such a reciprocity.
Yeah.
What is the word?
Reciprocity. Yes,
Thank you.
Reciprocity. Releasing perfection from that
it's
language.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I get to learn so much watching them deal with the stress of their daily lives. Mm-hmm. I've learned all kinds of different techniques. And it's about having a toolbox.
Absolutely.
Because one of the things is not everything will work every day. And finding your uniqueness and understanding each day is different. The body's different. The emotions, the mind is different. And being able to use different tools on different days to help yourself.
I love that. That is a perfect segue to this thought, is the mind knows what it wants for the most part. Well, it runs the system. It runs the show. And we talk about monkey minds. So when the mind knows something mentally, the body doesn't always catch up, right? Literally, and that's where that integration, but that regulation comes in.
Regulation is so important. Yeah. That's really where the work is. So I want to take you back a little bit. Yeah. For many of the people I see, they come to me because something has come up in their physical body. Mm-hmm. That is usually the time. It's the message that something's going on that you need to pay attention to. So very often people will come with lower back, right? Mm-hmm. Neck issues, my neck, my shoulders. Some people have had feet issues, cramping in the feet. Mm-hmm. So often the physical body is the beautiful entry point into nervous system work.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we look at, what's going on in the physical body, and then we start to develop different tools, right? Different techniques to help work with that. And for example, right, ways to move. That's the most obvious, right? You feel issues in your lower body, your lower back. You're like, okay, let me show you some different ways to move. But then go deeper.
Well, I have to pause you there because because you gave me this advice one day. We were having our conversation outside, right? And we were at a table outside at a little cafe, and we're talking, and this is a couple years ago, you know, and I was just I was in it. I was in it and moving through and crossing a bridge. And you looked at me, and she's very intuitive, by the way, with honing in on what the physical looks like. Mm-hmm. All right. And you said to me, you need to twist.
Yep. I remember that.
She said, I need to twist. And I'm like, you're right. I do need to twist. Mm-hmm. And it became something that I do consistently that regulates me.
Yeah.
So just the simple movement, like you said.
Simple movement. Movement matters. That's the
Yes,
mantra I
movement
tell
matters.
people all the time. Movement matters. It doesn't have to be a long 60-minute yoga practice. It can be a couple of moves that you integrate throughout your day. I like to look at it as, I call them yoga snacks, but you can call them movement minutes,
Yoga what?
yoga snacks.
Snacks. Yoga snacks.
Yoga snacks. So
I love that.
you are taking that 5-10 minutes to do a couple of the poses that we've done together that help target your physical body and movements that you need. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, pack some yoga snacks. We're going to put that in the show notes. Absolutely. I mean, that brings us to the simple practices that create shift. Yoga snacks.
So often what's happening in the body is the segue for your awareness, right? And I know on previous episodes you've talked about how important it is to be aware. It is the first step for regulating your nervous system, being aware, listening to the cues from your body. And then to regulate, there's a variety of ways. So one of them, very obvious, breath.
Yeah.
Right? Moving the breath. One of the most simple techniques I teach people is becoming aware of your breath. So that smooth inhale, that smooth exhale, because very often that's another sign you're becoming dysregulated. The breath becomes shallow, disjointed. So smoothing it out. And then over time, if you can make the exhale a little longer, that is very calming on the nervous system.
And we'll put that as a practice in the notes too. Maybe we'll put a simple little breath practice in there that we'll put in, because as we wrap up our little conversation here today, it's regulation into real life. So you and I can be chatting about this, but we actually really had that real life conversation when you told me to twist. So and that became a habit for me.
Yes.
So we want to leave, and again, letting go of it, doing it perfectly.
Absolutely.
So let's leave our listeners with that.
Yeah.
So letting go. So a practice that we can integrate, like the breath, but not being held to the outcome. Just let it smooth, right? Let it flow.
Let it flow and listen to your own body. So a lot of what I talk about is self-compassion. So understanding that I'm going to say it this way.
Yeah.
So often we are hardest on ourselves, and we would never treat ourselves the way we treat a friend or a child,
We say it early and we say that often. Yeah.
Right. So part of it is learning how to be compassionate to yourself, changing. We talked earlier about the intellectual part of us, changing the message. Stop being so hard on yourself. You don't have to be perfect. So I do some work with mantras. So what's that sentence, that phrase that you can say to yourself when that negative self-talk starts to come in, back to that positive piece? That is key to regulation. So along with self-compassion, knowing how to regulate breath and knowing how to regulate the movement. Because sometimes we push so hard that we're creating stress on our muscles that is doing the opposite of what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
So it's cultivating the opposite of where you're at to come back into balance.
You're actually stressing yourself out more by trying to be calm. And that's where you come in and you help your clients just bring that, enlighten yourselves and enlighten us to that movement, that slow
and that's where the
movement.
work is.
Yes, that's
because
where the work
very
is.
often when you come in and you're a go person, that type A type personality, you take care of everything. It is very hard to slow down. It's really hard. So a lot of people won't come to yoga or they don't try meditation. I can't do that. It's not that you can't. It's not become a habit. It's not become what you've normalized. You've normalized the activity, the go. So it's retraining yourself, retraining the brain, the body, the emotions to learn how to settle back down.
And establishing a new normal for yourself in your daily practice. So with that, my dear friend, so all of this beautifulness, all right, you can receive this personally from Darlene, because we will put all of her contact information and maybe a mantra or two and a breath exercise in the show notes when we're completed. So we're going to wrap this beautiful and we're going to integrate to regulate, slow our breath down, and move, right? So thank you very much, my dear friend. It was a pleasure. We will continue to have these conversations. And until we see you again, stay rooted, stay rising, and always stay blooming. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.